My name is Pete, though most folks around here just call me Big Pete, probably because of my size and not much else. I'm 45 years old and I've spent pretty much my whole life in Ohio. Every morning, the same routine starts before the sun even thinks about showing its face. My alarm clock goes off at 4:30 a.m., a harsh buzz that rips me out of whatever tired dream I was having. I get up, make a strong cup of coffee, and pack my lunch, usually just a couple of sandwiches and an apple. Then it's off to the steel mill where I've worked for the last 25 years. It's hard work, honest work. The heat, the noise, the smell of metal and sweat, it's all just part of my day. I lift heavy things, operate big machines, and mostly keep to myself. My hands are rough, my back often aches, but I take pride in what I do. I've always dreamed of a quieter life, maybe owning a small piece of land with a porch swing, somewhere I could watch the seasons change without the constant rumble of the mill in my ears. But dreams felt like luxuries I couldn't afford. Lately, though, the weight of the world had started to feel heavier than any beam I lifted at work. It wasn't just the job, it was everything else piling up. My old truck, a trusty companion for years, was constantly needing repairs, sucking up what little extra money I managed to save. Then there were the medical bills from a bad fall I had last year, not enough to stop me from working, but enough to leave me with a stack of papers I couldn't seem to make disappear. Every month, it felt like I was playing a losing game of catch-up. I'd pay one bill, and two more would pop up in its place. The hardest part wasn't the physical exhaustion, it was the quiet battle in my own mind. My internal nemesis was doubt, a gnawing feeling that I was trapped, that I was destined to spend the rest of my days just barely making it. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd ever truly get ahead, if my best efforts would ever be enough. The fear that I was simply not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough to break free from this cycle was a constant shadow in my thoughts. It was a loneliness that came from feeling like I was fighting a war no one else could see. I tried everything I could think of to improve my situation. I started taking every overtime shift offered at the mill, working 6 and sometimes even 7 days a week until my eyes felt gritty and my muscles screamed. I cut out every single expense that wasn't absolutely essential. No more Friday night pizza, no more occasional movie at the cheap theater. I even started bringing my coffee from home instead of buying it at the gas station, trying to pinch every single penny. I also decided to try a side hustle. I'm pretty handy with repairs, so I put up a small sign in my yard offering to fix things for neighbors, anything from leaky faucets to wobbly fences. For a while, it seemed like it might work. I got a few small jobs, and the extra cash was a lifeline. But then a series of setbacks hit me like a train. First, my truck, the one I relied on for work and for my side jobs, broke down again, this time with a problem that felt too big for me to fix myself. The estimate from the mechanic was a punch to the gut. It was more than I had saved. Then a big snowstorm hit, canceling several of the repair jobs I had lined up, and nobody was calling for fence repairs in the freezing cold. To top it all off, a letter arrived from the hospital, reminding me of an overdue payment and threatening collections. Each new problem felt like a brick being added to a wall I was trying to climb, making my goal of financial stability feel not just difficult, but utterly impossible. I felt like I was drowning, paddling harder and harder, but just sinking deeper. My lowest point came one cold Saturday afternoon. My truck was still broken down, sitting uselessly in my driveway. I had tried to fix it myself, watching videos online, borrowing tools, but I was out of my depth. I'd only managed to make it worse, leaving a puddle of oil on my concrete and a bigger mess of wires under the hood. I was out of money, out of options, and completely out of hope. I sat on my porch step, head in my hands, the biting wind feeling like a physical ache in my chest. My dream of a quiet life, even just the hope of getting out of debt, felt like a cruel joke. I felt so unbelievably alone, like I was the only person in the entire world carrying such a heavy burden. I thought about just giving up, just letting everything slide, letting the bills pile up, letting the truck rot. What was the point of fighting so hard if every step forward just led to 2 steps back? The exhaustion wasn't just physical anymore. It was a deep, soul-wearying fatigue that made even breathing feel like a chore. I felt like a machine that had simply run out of fuel. I just wanted to close my eyes and disappear. As I sat there, lost in my despair, I heard a rumble from the street. I looked up, numbly watching the cars pass by. Then a group of motorcycles appeared, big, powerful machines gleaming in the weak afternoon sun. They weren't going fast, in fact, they were barely moving. I watched as they slowly came to a complete stop, effectively blocking both lanes of traffic on my quiet street. Drivers behind them started honking, frustrated by the unexpected halt. I half expected to see an accident or some sort of confrontation. But then I saw it. One of the bikers, a man with a long beard and a leather vest, got off his bike and gently waved for the cars to hold still. He pointed to something on the road, and there, slowly waddling across the asphalt, was a mother duck, followed by a line of tiny, fluffy ducklings. The bikers, these tough-looking guys with their loud engines, had stopped traffic to let a family of ducks cross the street safely. They waited patiently, guarding the little family, until every last duckling was on the other side. Then, with a nod to the now quiet drivers, they revved their engines and continued on their way. It was such a small thing, such an unexpected act of kindness in the middle of a busy street, but it hit me like a jolt. In my world of heavy steel and even heavier worries, I had forgotten that simple goodness still existed, that people would stop their entire lives for something as small and vulnerable as a duck and her babies. It was a tiny crack in the wall of my despair, a pinprick of light. It didn't solve my problems, but it gave me a moment to breathe, a moment to remember that not everything was grim. Later that evening, as darkness fell and the cold seeped into my bones, I was still sitting on that porch step, trying to draw some warmth from that memory. I heard another vehicle slow down outside my house. I expected it to be a neighbor, maybe wondering why my truck was still broken. But it was a different truck, a beat-up old pickup with a toolbox in the back. A man got out, not a biker, but a regular guy in a work jacket. He looked at my broken-down truck, then at me. "Hey there," he said, his voice kind but direct. "I saw your truck's been sitting here a while. You look like you're having some trouble." I just nodded, too tired to talk much. "My name's Frank," he continued. "I own a small repair shop down the road, just drove by earlier and noticed it. Thought I'd stop and see if you needed a hand." My internal nemesis, doubt, immediately jumped up. He wants to charge me a fortune, I thought. He's going to take advantage. But Frank just smiled warmly. "I'm not here to sell you anything, friend. Just figured maybe you could use a little help. We all get stuck sometimes, you know. Saw some bikers stop traffic for a family of ducks this afternoon, and it just got me thinking. If they can do that for some ducks, we can certainly help each other out, right?" That was the turning point. Frank, a complete stranger, didn't just offer to look at my truck. He offered me something far more valuable, a connection, a moment of human empathy when I felt utterly invisible. He spent the next few hours with me, explaining what was wrong, showing me how to fix some of the smaller issues myself so I could save money. He even lent me a part at cost and told me I could pay him back when I could, no rush. He said he'd had a rough patch himself once, and someone had helped him out, no questions asked. That night, working on my truck with Frank, talking about life and fixing things, felt like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. It wasn't just the truck getting fixed, it was my spirit. I took a leap of faith that night, opening up to Frank, accepting his kindness, letting myself believe that things could get better. My new normal wasn't a sudden fix to all my problems, but it was a world away from the despair I had known. With my truck running again and Frank's generous spirit lighting the way, I got back on my feet. I still worked hard at the mill, but I found joy in it again, knowing that my efforts were making a difference, even if slowly. I paid Frank back every penny, and we became friends, often grabbing coffee and swapping stories. But the biggest change was in me. That day, Frank and those bikers taught me that kindness, even the smallest act, has a ripple effect. It spreads. So I started looking for ways to pay it forward. I helped my elderly neighbor with her yard work without being asked. I volunteered at the local food bank on my days off. I even started stopping to help stranded drivers on the highway, remembering the feeling of helplessness I'd had on my porch step. One afternoon, I saw a young couple pulled over, a flat tire and a baby crying in the backseat. I pulled over just like Frank had done for me. I had a spare and I helped them change it, sharing a quiet word of encouragement. The look of relief on their faces was all the thanks I needed. As I drove away, I noticed the young woman frantically waving from their car, holding up a peace sign and then pointing to a sticker on my truck. Goodness spreads. It was a small sticker Frank had given me, a reminder of that day. Life isn't always easy and the challenges still come. But now I face them with a different heart, a heart that knows kindness exists, that resilience is a muscle you strengthen with every struggle, and that human connection is the strongest force there is. Just last week, I was driving down a busy road during rush hour, and traffic suddenly came to a halt. Up ahead, I saw a familiar sight. A group of people, not bikers this time, but a mix of commuters, all patiently stopped. And in the middle of the road, a mother duck and her ducklings were waddling their way to safety. It was a beautiful twist of fate, a quiet moment that proved to me once again that things truly do get better, that the world is full of unexpected good, and that sometimes all it takes is one small act of kindness to remind us of the incredible strength we all carry within us and the gentle grace that connects us all.